When studying the Magician card, one thing that's always intrigued me has been this table, which I suspect represents the four corners of the world, i.e. the plane of the ecliptic of the horoscope, but that's another matter. What I'm actually looking at is the arrangement of the four elements on this table, which seem to make an odd, almost triangular pattern. So the arrangement we're seeing on the table is essentially wands or fire in the very forefront. Behind it is cups or water. To the right is swords or air, and to the left is earth or pentacles. Now, this structure, to my mind, suggests the bottom part of the tree of life, the stations 10, 9, 8, and 7. However, Tafareth, or 6, up here, is suggested to me as the magician standing behind the table and the elements, who in the act of transmission with his upraised right arm and the left arm pointing downwards, the transmission downward, he is acting as the root of all elements or ether. And Tifereth is typically portrayed, or a symbol that is part of Tifereth is the hexagram. And the hexagram is also used to make up the symbols for the four elements. So this arrangement, this portion of the Tree of Life, is referred to as the microprosopis, or the lesser face. It is also referred to as the Shekinah, and one of the translations of the term Shekinah is the bride. This area is essentially the workbench for the neophyte, but also, as you progress upwards, for the initiate. Now, where weight distinguishes between the neophyte and the initiate, I have no idea. However, in terms of progression, if we go back to his book, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, his minor arcana are sequenced in the book as wands, cups, swords, and then pentacles. So if we were to look at a progression of this, then it would be where we would start with wands, progress to cups. From cups, we would progress to swords, and then from swords, we would progress to pentacles. Does this suggest a path for development? What this then suggested to me was that if we take this formation into account along with Aether, this could also be the Celtic cross as used in Waite's method of divination, the spread that he suggests, what he calls the ancient Celtic cross. So when we go back to the text Pictorial Key to the Tarot and his description of the ancient Celtic cross, he talks about how when it's laid out, you have a card that covers an upright card covering the significator, a card on its side which represents oppositions or obstacles. But then, well, let me back up a little bit. You're supposed to choose a significator card before you start. And the significator card is based on physical characteristics of the querent, the person asking for the reading. Then you cover, then you cross. So then you have above, which is the aims or ideals, and then you have below, which essentially is the foundation of the issue at hand. But then for the next card, what you have to do is look at the card that acts as the significator and see which way the card is facing. If the person is facing to the right, for example, you would place the fifth card here on the left, because that is what is behind the person asking the question. This is what has led up to the events or the situation of the reading. You then place the sixth card, which is essentially the future outcome, here in this position. But if the significator is facing to the left, you place the past here on the right, and you place the future here on the left. So this alternation, where it could go either way depending upon the significator, suggested to me, this is where I'm basically exploring the idea that it can either go that way or it can go this way in terms of the sequence of the reading. Pardon me, had to clear my throat. Okay, so this alternation here suggested to me a trick that practitioners of the Kabbalah, particularly the Western tradition, like to do. When we look at the Tree of Life, and we're looking at both the lesser face and the greater face, there's also the concept of the original man, Adam Kadmon. And typically, Adam is portrayed facing the person. But one of the secrets of the Kabbalah is that when you are working with the Tree of Life, you actually have to work with Adam facing away. The idea is that this lesser face, for example, here, is looking at you. But in order to properly understand what's going on, you need to look at it from the eyes of God. So here then, this actually helps make better sense. Let's go back a little bit. The problem here with this progression, 10, 9, 8, and 7, is if we are progressing up the tree, we're supposed to go this way. But instead, based on this sequence and this layout on the table, you're going this way instead. So you're going, in effect, out of sequence. So you go from 10 to 9 to 7 and to 8. But if we're looking at a process of transmission, coming all the way down, it's going to come from 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, and we go back up the same way, the path of the serpent, as it's called. To go the other way is referred to as the path of the magician, and this way has its own perils and demands and requirements and so forth. So my line of thinking is that Waite, who loves to conceal the obvious by using either reversal or by using mirroring, he'll mirror it either horizontally or vertically on several of his cards to conceal something. My personal suspicion is that the best way to look at it then is where you have 10, 9, 8, 7, and then 6, where here, instead of air being, pardon me, let's go back up here to the right, air and earth switch places, and so we have the proper orientation. Now this, to me, makes sense because 7, Netzach, is governed by Venus, which is earth, and Hod, which is science or the accumulated body of knowledge, that is very much a thing of air. And so the progression now makes sense. We go from fire to water to air to earth, as we see in this sequence here. So this makes me wonder If this initial arrangement is for the neophyte, i.e. the one who is still, in effect, hoodwinked, whereas down here, this sequence is for the initiate who has been shown or knows of the true way.